Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. This show is about one thing and one thing only, turning your gym into a thriving business you love to own. So if you want to know what it really takes to grow your membership, make more money, and build a rock-solid community of raving fans, you've come to the right place. All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Gurzy, and today we're going to be talking about selling versus serving. So the whole concept of sales is probably one of the biggest breakthroughs that we see in the gym owners that we work with at Gym Breakthrough. And the reason I think that is because so many of us grew up with this really terrible relationship with the idea of selling. And that comes from, the bad experiences that we had where people were super pushy or super sleazy, that whole like used car salesman thing. And oftentimes also has to do with, what we were told to, how we were told to react in or how to behave ourselves in a sales environment, to deflect the evil salesperson. And this is an important one to diffuse because, when there is no sales, there is no business. And yes, we are in a relationship-centric business, but at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we are able to effectively enroll people into our program. And when I say effectively, it's not just about getting the yes. It's about making sure that we're getting yes for the right reason so that we're getting the real buy-in and that we can keep people much longer. So today I want to kind of work through all of that with you guys and hopefully help you in maybe seeing the light with this like some of our clients do. So again, what this is really all about is hopefully helping you change your relationship or understanding of what sales even is. And the goal for us with our clients is to help them craft a sales process that actually feels good to do and for both you and the prospective client while increasing member enrollments, right? So it's not just about getting yeses. We want to make sure it also feels really good and it's in alignment with your integrity as a gym owner and what you believe in. And then it also suits the application, right? So what are we talking about and who are we talking to, and making sure all of those factors are aligned so that we create a really fantastic sales experience that gets the yes for the right reason. Now, when you have a great sales experience, it doesn't just get you the sale. So here are a couple of really important things to consider, and that will change when you get this right. So great sales experience helps you get this relationship off on the right foot. It creates authority for you as an expert in what you do. It gives you the info that you need to properly vet someone to see if they're actually a good fit for your community. And here's a tip. There are going to be people who come to you with a problem that are not a good fit for you, and it's okay to say no and point them in another direction, right? If you're just letting anybody in who's willing to give you a credit card, you are creating lots of problems for yourself down the road when it comes to the culture and community of your gym, which for a lot of us, when we're running a micro gym where we're not trying to get to thousands of members, we're trying to maybe get to a couple hundred or a few hundred, and the culture of that group is super important, right? Also, it gives the prospective member the tool to properly vet you. Are you actually someone that they're interested in having help them? And do they enjoy you? And do they feel like they connect with you? It allows both of you to get on the same page as to the problem you're going to help them solve, right? This is a matter of expectations, right? What are they hoping to get out of this versus what are you planning on delivering? So super important. And gives you the ability to adjust those expectations. It can help you position upsells to products or premium services down the road. And it can help you massively improve your short-term and your long-term retention when you get this right. So these are all benefits of getting this right. So we'll unpack some of those here as we go. So our process has proven to be really powerful in doing this because what I built it off of was not just selling or what gets yeses. Ultimately, I actually pulled a lot of this from relationship building and what I learned in the 5-star hotel business and what you can do to really connect with someone and build that rapport authentically and then help them see what it is that you're trying to communicate, right? Which I think is one of the big disconnects is that, the gym owner knows, hey, I know I'm good at what I do and I know I can help this person, but they were still asking me things about like, well, what's the difference between you and the guy down the street? And why is it so expensive? When you're getting those kinds of objections, guys, that's usually because you did not get the first 80% of this session right. Okay. And by the way, this system works for introverts, for heart-driven people, people who've never sold anything before. So this is not only good for people who have sales experience. As a matter of fact, most of the people that we help and we teach this to in our program are people who have very little to no sales experience outside of maybe selling the few members that they have so far. So in case that's a concern for you, that's not a factor here. Okay. So again, so let's start with what we most commonly see out there, right? Why do people struggle with this? Almost all the problems that people have with selling tend to come from their bad experiences with a bad salesperson. And this goes back to what's been taught for selling, not just in our industry, but just across the board for the last many, many years, right? It's that really direct, pushy salesperson. It's all just about getting the yes, take the money, and put the numbers on the board. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of putting the numbers on the board and hitting your goals, but it doesn't have to be done that way. That all comes from a time, and this goes back to like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, when there was no internet and there was no recourse for you getting a random phone call or a random knock on the door, because these systems were derived from door-to-door salesman tactics and cold calling tactics, where it was really just about the numbers, right? We've all heard about it's a numbers game when it comes to selling. And to some extent that is true, because once you get good at what you do, you can start to see a rhythm and you can start to have a predictable conversion rate, and you could try to improve that by mastering your craft. But it's not just about overall numbers on the board, right? Get them to say yes, take the money, and what happens after that's not for us. And the reason is because we are in a relationship-based business, guys. We are hoping to have these people with us in a meaningful way, where we're going to see them for an hour a day, 3 to 5 days a week for years to come if we do our job right. So why on earth would we be using these super high pressure tactics and hard closes and objection handling just to get them to sign up and to get them onto a membership or to get them onto a contract? That is so not in alignment with what most of the gyms that at least that we work with are after, right? They're looking to create meaningful relationships with people that they're going to love seeing, and that people are going to value what they do, and that they buy their premium programs and they buy their products and they tell their friends and family. Right? That's the goal. That's the ultimate formula for a successful micro gym, right? Is having that thriving community of people who refer friends and family, buy your products, right? And stick around for a long time. So we need to make sure that our sales process matches that, right? And especially if you're someone who is really, really good at your craft, right? You've got a phenomenal program. You get people great results. Think about it. I like to use the car dealership analogy here, is that you are selling Bentleys, right? Lamborghinis, with how good your product is relative to what else is out there. Yet your sales experience is that of like a used car dealership, right? When you go to, if you've ever been to like a luxury car dealer, whether it's Bentley or Porsche or whatever, when you show up to that lot, first of all, it looks and feels different. And the second that you walk on, the way that they engage with you and communicate, you have someone who's well-dressed, well-spoken, who comes out to you and is immediately like, hey, so is this your first time looking at a Bentley? Beautiful, right? I love this model too. And they just start connecting with you and start building rapport. Hey, can I interest you in an espresso? You want a glass of champagne? And it's a very elevated experience, right? Same thing if you walk into a 5-star hotel, same thing. Looks, feels, smells, sounds different. Everything's different relative to, let's say, a Motel 6. Well, when you walk into that used car dealership, you could be out there walking around for 5-10 minutes before someone comes out. Then when they do come out, it's some guy. Looks like he just put his clothes on in his car. He's still chewing on his snack, drinking out of a styrofoam cup. He's like, hey, how can I help you? Right? Two very different experiences. And yet, so many gyms who are offering a Bentley caliber product are doing a used car dealership caliber sales experience. It does not match it. And then they wonder why people don't get the value, right? You could never sell a $250,000 Bentley using that used car method and approach and environment, right? It just wouldn't work. And so that's what we need to look at first and foremost, is that we need to make sure that it matches what we are doing, right? And for most of us, we're providing a service that's head and shoulders above what most people have experienced before. And so we need to make sure that every single thing about, from when they first reach out, the communication and all of that, to the sales experience itself matches that. right? If there's not, there's going to be a disconnect and it's not going to make sense. Now, they're probably not going to be able to put their finger on it, but you're not going to get someone to sign up. Or if you do get them to sign up, they're not they're not firing on all cylinders. And you're probably going to have a retention issue 3 or so months down the road because it didn't really sink in, or he didn't really get to the root of their actual problem, and so on. So here, back to the idea of where this stuff comes from. It comes from those old methods of door-to-door selling and cold calling. And somehow that stuff is still being taught. It's just getting recycled and recycled. And I think it's because it's so potent. When you have someone who's really aggressive, who's willing to just not care at all about the person on the other end and can just hammer away at that. And they can, again, put big numbers up on the board. And in other industries, that might be fine, right? Maybe you're going door-to-door selling knives. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. It's a decent knife. You just want to sell as many of them as possible. But again, in this business, it's a little bit different. We're building a relationship and we want to make sure that we're cultivating that relationship right from the get-go, right? And so a lot of this stuff has found its way into our space and is still being taught right now by quite a few of the people out there who teach sales and marketing or have programs or challenges and things like that. And just in my experience and in my opinion, I think is far too aggressive for the business model that we want. And the good news is that the system that I teach actually puts up the same, if not better numbers than what theirs does, except it's actually in alignment with the gym owner. So they feel good about it. They love to deliver them because they know they are serving this person. They are not trying to sell this person. And that if they get the yes, they're getting the yes for the right reason. And they're going to have the highest likelihood of success for all the stakeholders, right? The gym is going to be successful because we acquired a good client who's going to last a long time and refer friends and family. The client is going to get what they want out of it because they're going to get great results. They're going to be in an environment that's going to support them and help them achieve their goals. And your staff wins because they've got good people where their skill sets and the programs that you've told them to offer solve the problem, so they feel like heroes, right? It has to be win-win-win. All right. So the old systems, they just don't work anymore. That's the old way. Okay. And it does not have to be that way anymore. And the other thing to remember too is because those old methods worked well because there was no recourse often, or very little recourse, for someone who was a crummy salesperson who was just pressuring you into buying something that you didn't want or need, or that wasn't the right fit for you, because there was no Yelp. There was no getting on social media and just blasting this person and tearing them apart, right? Where other people can see it and it can affect them. That can all happen now, right? And so we've got to take that into consideration when we're picking the sales method for selling our programs and services, right? Okay. So, we're a brick and mortar, relationship-centric business. We don't want to be pushy. The way that I like to look at it is this. We want to provide any single person who reaches out to us with the VIP treatment, okay? And I know that not everyone who reaches out is going to be a great fit, but that does not mean that we're not going to treat them like gold, because we are a brick and mortar business where our reputation is a huge part of our marketing formula. And having and maintaining that great relationship, even with people who don't buy from you, is absolutely imperative. You can't be so short-sighted and say, well, as soon as I realized that person wasn't a fit, I just basically shut it down and tried to get him out the door. That's funny to say to another person, but that's really stupid to do in your business. Let's be real. That person has friends, coworkers, neighbors, that there will be conversations. Hey, didn't you try that place out? Or, oh, I've tried them out, or I met with him before. This is all going to come up and it's going to bite you in the ass down the road. Whether you see it or hear about it or not, it will. And so we have to keep that in mind. So even if someone comes in and they're like, hey, I want to come in and take you up on your free intro session, and you chat with them and you're like, I'm not 100% if this is the right fit, but let's give it a shot. They come in and 15 minutes in the conversation, you're already like, oh man, this is not going to work. We're not a good fit. That does not mean you now then turn against them and try to just rush them out the door. We still want to serve that person, right? And what I'm getting at here, guys, is that the whole purpose of us being in this business is to help people with their health and fitness, right? And because we're not just selling gym memberships. That's the Globo Gym model. Sell memberships. Let's hope they don't show up so we can keep our machines as available as possible. In our business model, it's the exact opposite. I want to sell people, and I want as many of those people to show up as often as possible for as long as possible, because that means they're getting great results. They're getting all the benefits from the program, and I'm going to get a great reputation. They're going to refer friends and family. Everybody wins. So we have to take it back and look at, why are we even in this business in the first place? It's to make that impact. It's to help solve that problem. It's to help share that passion for fitness and nutrition and health, and help people reframe their relationship with it so that they become better parents, better leaders, and it improves how they carry themselves in the world, how they carry themselves in their relationship, their sex life improves. We make massive, massive contributions to people's lives with our programs because we're actually here to help them. So look at your sales process the same way. When people show up at your front door and they're there for an intro session, and they show up with a total misunderstanding of what you do, or they have totally miscalibrated around the value of what fitness is worth and the impact it can make, just know they're not showing up to do this to you. They are not here trying to insult your intelligence or trying to insult your ability or your programs or your value. They are coming from a lifetime of misinformation and miseducation around what fitness is, how it works. And just think about how everyone else markets fitness and nutrition. It's lose 30 pounds in 30 days. It's all these radical examples because that's what hooks people. It's all the marketers who turn it into these overly blown out examples or case studies of things that just really aren't a good idea, and diet pills and all the crap that's out there, right? It's conditioned people to have a completely screwed up understanding of what we do, how it works, what it takes, what it should cost, and all of that. So when they show up, just know this is your opportunity to help correct that with that person, to understand what it is that you do and connect those dots for them and give them a chance to potentially change their life in a radical way for the better in so many different ways, right? But if you don't show up to this with the intention of serving that person, whether they sign up or not, you are here to help guide them in the right direction. Now, if your program is the right direction, then you are going to guide them to your program and you're not going to be shy about it. But if you discover that they are not a good fit, guide them towards what would be the best fit. And it's okay if it's not your business. You know you're getting this process right when you start getting referrals from people who came to you for an intro session and didn't sign up because it wasn't the right fit for them. And then you start getting referrals from people where they show up, and maybe this is a few months later. And I remember because this started happening to me shortly after I really nailed this system. Was I had a guy in, he came in for an intro, didn't sign up. Few months later, I had someone who came in and said, "Oh, I was referred by Steve." I'm like, "Steve? I don't think I have a Steve." And I'm like thinking to myself, do I not know my members that well? I did not have a Steve. So I asked him, I said, "Hey, you said you were referred by Steve. Are you sure this is the right gym? Because I don't have a Steve." And he's like, "Oh no, he's not a member. He did an intro with you a few months ago and was just raving about how awesome it was and how on top of it you were. He was too embarrassed to tell you that he had just lost his job and was looking for something that was more cost effective, and you guys are obviously not cheap. But he loved what you're doing. And we were at a party last weekend and he was telling all of us how he can't wait to sign up once he gets this new job he has lined up, and how, we should go check it out. And that's why I'm here. And actually so-and-so is going to be coming in as well." That was a huge breakthrough for me because I realized I'm getting referrals from people who didn't even sign up. And that should be your goal. That's how well you should treat someone who is not a good fit for you. So that on the front end, remember, because we're that brick and mortar, we're not going anywhere. We don't just disappear off into the internet, right? They're going to keep driving by us, or it's going to come up in conversations, and so-and-so's trying this place. Anyone ever know anyone who's worked out there or anything like that? And we want that all to be positive, right? So everyone gets that VIP treatment. And so they reach out to you because they have a problem. And whether people want to admit it or not, you are in the business of solving people's problems, right? And if you've not made that connection yet, I highly encourage you to really take a look at what it is that you do and try to focus what problems you solve down to a handful. Ideally, we want to have one main one that we solve best. And then what we do is as people come in, and obviously through our marketing messages and through our communications and all of that, we're hopefully attracting people who are interested in solving that problem so that it's easy for us to help convert them and retain them and all that because they were the right kind of person. But that's a conversation for another podcast. So let's get into the general flow of how we approach this approach to selling, and hopefully give you guys a little bit of structure here. So the general flow starts with us getting to know them, building rapport and being understanding. So this is about when they first come in, we want to connect with them. We want to make sure that we disarm them around, what kind of experience this is going to be. We let them know what our intentions are for the session, and we start to connect and we build some rapport. And from there, phase 2 is to transition into what it is that you do exactly, right? So if you do CrossFit, this is where you want to be able to articulate in plain English what it is that you do. Be careful, you don't want to stumble over the most common mistake of just jargon, just barfing all of the information that you have on top of these people, and then you wonder why they didn't get it. Now they may say, oh yeah, that makes sense. They have no idea what you just said, right? So plain English, articulate what it is that you do. From there, you want to get clear on what I call the 3 W's. What do you want? Why does it matter to you? And when do you want to accomplish it by? Because ultimately what we're building up to here, guys, is a prescriptive close, right? So we are approaching sales from a doctor frame, right? They have a problem. You solve problems. They're coming to you. But what we're doing in this process is we are trying to build connection, build trust, and learn about their path, their experiences, their goals, and what and why and all that, so that we have the ammunition necessary to now effectively articulate how we can help them get to where they are trying to go, if obviously they're a fit. Right, so 3 W's. From there, we go to a movement piece. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too much here, but we approach this very differently. So if you're just taking people through, let's say, today, since this is your first session, we're going to take you through benchmark or this thing, but don't worry, I'm going to scale it to your level. Bad idea, not how you want to do it. You want to actually let them feel like they're being coached and have a positive experience. Don't use fear by showing them what they can't do, but here, I'll help you because I'm a good coach. That's you just trying to cover your value through complexity and through fear, whether you realize that or not. From there, then we go to coaching value add. This is one of my little secret sauces in how we want to communicate and demonstrate real value to them in a way to where they're going to really start connecting the dots on what it is that we do. And then from there, we go to prescribing that solution. So this piece, guys, is where we want to be able to take all this information about what we've learned and now communicate back to them to show them, hey, so let me get this right. This is where you're at. This is where you want to go. This is why it matters. And then you show them how you are going to do that. Now, we want to be careful when we do this because we don't want to get into the nitty gritty, into the granular details of what you're really going to do necessarily. And instead try to keep it very zoomed out so that they can keep up with it. Right? If you let them get bogged down in the fact that, okay, so you're going to show up, it's going to be 5 days a week, maybe 6, you're going to have to stop eating all that crap you told me you were eating. You're going to be doing like workouts that have like 100 kettlebell swings and burpees, and there's going to be lots of running, which you told me you hate, and all these things. All those little red flags are going to start going off on, I don't know if I can do this. But if you can keep it simple to, we're going to focus at first on your attendance and just staying consistent with your training while we get you some basics dialed in with your nutrition. And then we're going to focus on that. If you can keep it simple into a handful of steps, you're going to have a higher likelihood of them going, I feel like I can do this. Let's rock and roll. Right. And at that point, you can then close and convert. And hopefully now you have gone through an elegant process in building that rapport, connecting, demonstrating the value, and articulating back to them what it is that you're going to help them solve and how you're going to connect that dots with your programs so that they have all of the information necessary to ideally, and this is one of the other big things, one of the big takeaways from the people that we coach, is a lot of people have multi-stage sales processes where I'll sell you in the onboarding and then I'll sell you membership at the end. Ideally, this should be your singular sales event. We want one event to sell them into the whole thing, and then we're done, and we can just take care of them from that point forward. So we transition them into that for the right reasons. They're excited, and now we can continue on that member journey. So I hope that was valuable for you guys. And if this had set off any red flags for you in maybe what you could be doing a little bit better, I encourage you, this is definitely worth the effort. Getting great at enrolling new people into your program. Not only is that a massive lever to pull in the growth and success of your business, but I think it can make your entire experience with growing your business a very positive one rather than what I think a lot of people have, which is this negative association with, another lead or another sales call, another person who wasn't the right fit. your experience and how you show up to these things and the script that you're telling yourself in your head about selling and what it means and what it takes and how hard it is and how sleazy, but I just have to do it. Believe it or not, all of that is impacting how effective you are and is coming through subconsciously to the people that you're sitting there with, right? So I encourage you to take a look at it. So if you're learning, if you're interested in learning how to fix your business by increasing new member enrollments, growing your average client value, and building a tribe of raving loyal fans, book a free breakthrough call with me. It's really simple. Go to gymbreakthrough.com/apply. And during that call, we will get to know you and where you're at and where you're trying to go. And I will walk you through what we do and how it all works and see if it's a good fit. It will be the most valuable 45 minutes that you have spent working on your business in some time, whether you work with us or not, because ultimately I want to make sure you get as much value out of our time together as possible. So that's it for today, guys. That's it. So I look forward to seeing you guys on our next episode, and have a great day. Bye-bye.